Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at UFC 314 Volkanovski versus Lopes. We're going to be doing every single fight on the card, starting from the prelim all the way to the main event. First up, we've got Nora Cornolle versus Hailey Cowan. I'm going to be real with you. You can skip this fight if you're rushing home from work, if you're rushing home from school. I don't know where you live, what your time zone is, but regardless, don't have to rush home for this one. There's an extra 15 minutes on the build-up. Don't you worry. Bit of a boring fight. It's going to go to a decision. If you're betting safe, just say it'll go the distance. Don't worry about a winner. But if you need a winner, go with Nora Cornolle. She's an old world fighter. Yeah, she's French, but the old world still beats the new world. The American market is oversaturated with people that wrestled in high school. Nora Cornolle wins. New world fighters suck. The market's oversaturated. Sorry, Americans. I'm sorry. You all wrestled in high school. That doesn't make you good at MMA. Next up, the fight that should have opened this card: Tresean Gore versus Marco Tulio. I'm going with Marco Tulio by KO. I know a lot of people want him as a first round knockout. I don't see it happening. I think Tresean Gore probably survives the first round. I think he gets dropped in the late in round one, survives the ground and pound into round two, but doesn't recover and gets finished at the start of round two. I think a lot of people who bet on the round one knockout are kind of going to be like, what are you doing, ref? What are you why didn't you stop it? Late stoppage. But he's going to survive the round, and I think he's going to get finished in round two. So I'm going to go with Mauricio Tulio, round two. Marco Tulio. Fuck Mauricio. Marco Tulio by round two knockout. Next up, Sumudaerji versus Mitch Raposo. I'm going with Sumudaerji. I'm liking the Chinese talent. I just like the grit and determination. You know, I like how they push to the finish. Obviously, they lose. They can't go home to China. They'll be executed for disgracing the country and the nation and the people. So yeah, I'm going to go with Sumudaerji. I'm thinking another decision. This is kind of a matchup. This is kind of a boring matchup, but it's forced to be a boring matchup because of the styles that we're playing with right now. So yeah, we're gonna go Sumudaerji by decision. I know he's on like a 3-fight losing streak, maybe a 2-fight losing streak. There's a fly that's just graced me with its presence. Disgusting. We're gonna go with Sumudaerji either way. He's on a bit of a skid, but I think he can turn it around with a win over Mitch Raposo. Not a world beater by any measure, but I think he beats Mitch Raposo. Next up, Sedriques Dumas versus Michał Oleksiejczuk. Michał. Sedriques Dumas probably beats Michał. Michal's on like a 4-fight, maybe 3-fight losing streak, similar to Sumudaerji. I just don't think he's going to be able to turn it around against Sedriques Dumas. A difficult person to put away, a difficult person to finish, and I think another one goes to a decision. I think Sedriques Dumas wins this by a split decision. I think he just ekes out. I think round 2 is debatable, and I think he ekes out round 3, and I think it goes to a decision. So I'm going Sedriques Dumas by a decision again. A couple of matchups are going to go to decision, but they're not going to be boring fights. Not going to be stinky poo fights, you know. Next up, Darren Elkins versus Julian Erosa. I'm a fan of Darren Elkins. If you've been a fan of this channel, if you've been watching this channel, you'll know I'm a fan of Darren Elkins. I love the style, I love the attitude, I love the determination of Darren Elkins. He never gives up. I just think Julian Erosa, it's a little bit more of a mirror match than I think most people will be willing to admit. They're kind of evenly matched, except that in every single way, Julian Erosa, it's super even, but Julian Erosa just ekes him out in every aspect, right? He's slightly taller, he's slightly longer, he's slightly better in the stand-up, he's slightly better in the grappling. Darren Elkins has just got more heart, we'll say. So, we're going to go with Julian Erosa. I think a decision, and I think it's the kind of decision where Darren Elkins does better as the fight goes on. As Julian Erosa gets tireder and starts making more mistakes, Darren Elkins starts doing better. But I do think it'll be too little too late. After a great performance in round 3, I do think that Julian Erosa will win a decision. But another split decision, similar to the previous with Sedriques Dumas and Michał, whose last name I can't say. Similar to that fight, Darren Elkins versus Julian Erosa goes to a split decision, and I think Julian Erosa just ekes out Darren Elkins. Next up, Chase Hooper versus Jim Miller. Jim Miller's like 41, pushing 50 rapidly. I can't in good conscience. Chase Hooper's like 25, 26. I can't pick Jim Miller to beat Chase Hooper. So we're going to go Chase Hooper by submission. I'm thinking a round 2 submission. This is a 3-round fight. I'm thinking Chase Hooper does well in the stand-up. He's got the height and the reach advantage over Jim Miller, as well as the age, as well as being the younger fighter. He's got some really good jit skills. He's got some really good submission potential. So I think Chase Hooper probably hits Jim Miller, follows him to the ground, a little bit of ground and pound, snatches up a submission, probably a rear naked choke. Yeah, I'm liking Chase Hooper by submission. I'm thinking round 2 submission for Chase Hooper, maybe round 3, but I'm liking a round 2 submission for Chase Hooper. Next up, Werner Janiroba versus Yan Xiaonan. Tough one for me. Julian Erosa versus Yan Xiaonan. Shouldn't have said that. Anyway. Stop thinking things to say. Yan Xiaonan probably wins this one. I'm thinking another decision. Another one of these fights where it's going to go to a decision, but I don't think it's going to be particularly boring. Both girls pretty good fighters, pretty entertaining to watch. Yan Xiaonan's my pick. I'm liking the Chinese talent at the minute. As you know, I like all the Asian talent. I'm just a fan of the way they grapple. They like to scramble a lot, and they like to be proactive with the grappling. So I'm going to pick Yan Xiaonan. I think she surprises Werner a little bit with the stand-up, but I think really it's the grappling where she's going to shine. She's going to kind of make it into a scrappy fight and kind of ruin the striking of Janiroba. Kind of pressure her and kind of go toe-to-toe with her and kind of be surprising in that aspect. There's going to be a lot of surprises in these fights, but I think again it probably goes to a decision. Yeah, I'm liking a decision. I think Yan Xiaonan probably has the power advantage, surprisingly, and I think that's where the surprise is going to come from. I think everyone's going to be a bit shocked by, like, oh, Yan Xiaonan's landing some fucking heat, landing with some heat, and I think that's going to be the difference. I think it's going to be a pretty even fight, aside from the damage being landed from the heavier shots of Yan Xiaonan. So we'll go Yan Xiaonan by a decision. I don't think Janiroba's ever finished anybody anyway. So yeah, we want to go Yan Xiaonan by decision to win the decision. Next up, Dan Ige versus Sean Woodson. An interesting matchup. Sean Woodson looking like a fucking alien. He's got the perfect build for mixed martial arts. He's got them long arms, them long legs, that small torso, that small head. He's the perfect build, okay? Everything vital is small and hard to hit, and all of his weapons are long and whip-like. He's the perfect build. He's the perfect specimen for MMA. Extraterrestrial is the best build for mixed martial arts. I think Sean Woodson wins. I'm thinking by knockout. I think Dan Ige probably gets dropped and finished on the ground. Yeah, why not? Yeah, I think, you know what? I'm thinking a series of nasty hooks probably lays Dan Ige out. I think he gets hit, backs up against the fence. Sean Woodson stood on the other side of the cage, backs Dan Ige to the opposite side of the fence with just his arms, and just starts landing some hooks and finishes Dan Ige. Dan Ige has no chance, pretty much, against the reach, is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, we're going Sean Woodson by knockout TKO, we're going to say. Not going to predict the round, I couldn't say. Sean Woodson's just a freak of nature, you know. You couldn't say when he's going to end it. When he chooses to end the fight, that's when it's going to end. Sean Woodson by TKO. Next up, Nikita Krylov, returning after 2 years away, versus Dominick Reyes, who's just beat Anthony Smith, which I think is critical. See, I think Dominick Reyes, in beating Anthony Smith, kind of seen what his future could be. Saw where his path is leading if he carries on the way he's going. And then he beat Anthony Smith, and hopefully he conquered those demons. And now he's going to beat Nikita Krylov, probably by a decision. I know, right? All the hype for this card, and I reckon most of these fights are going to go to a decision. I've just got a feeling. But to be fair, Dan Ige versus Sean Woodson is where the card starts to get like, oh, okay, this is what we're hyped for. That's when the card starts to get good, you know. A lot of people are thinking these guys are going to knock each other out. I don't think Nikita Krylov is going to knock out Dominick Reyes, to be honest with you. I think if Nikita Krylov wins, it's going to be a decision, and I think Dominick Reyes definitely has the potential to knock out Krylov if he just buckles down, you know. So I'm going to pick Dominick Reyes. I'm going to pick Dominick Reyes probably by knockout, but I could see it going to decision for Dominick as well. I just think Krylov's only method to winning this is probably not only method, but his most likely method of winning is probably going to take this to a decision and win on the points, on the damage, on the output even. But we'll go Dominick Reyes. Dominick Reyes by knockout. That's my feeling. On to the next one. Yair Rodriguez versus Patricio Pitbull. Yair Rodriguez is a decent UFC prospect, decent contender at featherweight, and he's matching up against Patricio Pitbull, who's kind of fought everywhere, but most recently at Bellator. He's fought in Rising as well, I do believe. He's a decent fighter, but I'm kind of done picking guys from outside the UFC to come in and beat a decent contender their first time out. I do think there is difference, there is levels to this. So we're going to be picking Yair Rodriguez. Not one of my favourite fighters. Decent fighter, just not one of my favourite fighters. I just think he surprises Patricio. I think Patricio's thinking to himself, it's the grappling, right? The grappling's where I'm gonna be at a disadvantage. It's the UFC. Some of the best grapplers are here. You know, it's the grappling where I'm going to be at a disadvantage. And I think Yair Rodriguez surprises him with the hands and the kicks. You know, I think he comes out with the stand-up and surprises Patricio Pitbull. And from that moment, it kind of sets a bad tone. Patricio Pitbull gets off on the bad foot because of that. That's how I'm feeling with it. Yeah, I'm thinking Yair Rodriguez probably wins by a decision again. I'm going to predict another decision. But an entertaining fight. I think you're going to see Patricio Pitbull kind of get shocked by the hands, the stand-up of Yair Rodriguez that he kind of wasn't expecting from him. So you're going to go Yair Rodriguez by a decision. Yeah, I'm confident with that. Next up, Bryce Mitchell versus Jean or Jean Silva, whatever you want to say. I'm saying Jean Silva. I'm picking Bryce Mitchell. If you've been watching the channel, you know I'm a fan of both of these guys. I'm going to sip some Tango. You know I'm a fan of both of these guys, okay? Bryce Mitchell, close to my heart. Absolute legends. Just an honest guy. And Jean Silva, an autistic killer. A straight up, not that he kills autistic people. He is autistic and a killer. Like, he just switches it on. He just switches on lizard brain and just finishes dudes. And we like that. So it's a tough pick for me, but I'm gonna have to pick Bryce. I think Jean's better in the stand-up by a fair bit, but I think Bryce's stand-up is adequate. I think Bryce has enough to stay competitive on the feet and get it to a position where he can get it to the ground, he can get it into a grappling exchange, and I think it's the grappling exchanges where Jean Silva's kind of going to be like, I don't want to be there, you know. But I think it takes Bryce a good minute to get to those positions. I think he lays out the path to getting the fight to the ground in round one against a pretty tough opponent, a pretty tough chess player that is Jean Silva. But once finding the methods, I think in round two it gets a lot easier for him to take Jean down and hold him down. I think that changes the tide of the fight. And Bryce, I'm thinking a Bryce Mitchell submission, and I'm thinking late round two, early round three for Bryce Mitchell. I'm thinking, I know MMA Guru has been asking for the crucifix and ground and pound to exercise the demons from Jean Silva, but I think Jean Silva's probably just a little bit too good, too high level to end up getting caught in a crucifix. So I think Bryce is better off going for the rear naked choke. It's the safest option. You know, we don't need anything too flashy. We just need a win from Bryce at this point in time. And I think a rear naked choke is probably where it's at. And I'm reminded of Bryce, you know, if you're a religious man, I'm reminded of Bryce. It's kind of like a prophecy, if you will. Bryce was saying that, you know, David didn't exercise Goliath, he took his head off. And maybe he just pops the head off Jean Silva. Maybe he just pops the head off Jean Silva with a beautiful rear naked choke, just wrenches it right off, and Jean Silva's head shoots into the crowd, and all the demons are released from his corpse, and the world becomes a brighter place. And we all praise Bryce Mitchell for saving us, for exercising Jean Silva and showing us all the way. The way of Christ. Next up, Michael Chandler versus Paddy Pimblett. Now, you'll know that I am obligated as a Scouser to pick Paddy Pimblett, but even if I weren't, I'd still be picking Paddy Pimblett because I don't rate Michael Chandler that highly. Michael Chandler is a cheater. We've known this forever, though. Everyone knows Michael Chandler's a cheater. People have been saying this forever. Dustin Poirier's been saying this forever. Michael Chandler cheats. That's fine. Conor McGregor cheated. Everyone cheats. They all cheat. We don't care about that. What we care about is Paddy Pimblett being able to out-grapple Michael Chandler in a more aggressive way. In a more aggressive way than Oliveira. Clear my throat there. See, I'm liking the Paddy Pimblett submission. I'm thinking a round 3 submission. I don't think we get to see 4 and 5. I'm thinking a round 3 Paddy Pimblett submission. And the reason I'm thinking that is because everyone's thinking Paddy's going to get chinned, but Paddy's got a solid chin on him. And every time Paddy gets chinned, it kind of wakes him up. They're excluding the Jared Gordon fights, but if we put that down to a broken foot and we say that's the exception to the rule, then the majority of time, if Paddy gets hit hard with a shot, he doesn't wilt away. It kind of wakes him up. It likes a fire under his ass. And even directly following those shots, he'll go for something like a flying triangle or a flying armbar, you know, in those kind of moments. And that's kind of the crux of the point I'm trying to make. Is people say that Paddy couldn't submit Michael Chandler because Oliveira couldn't submit Chandler, and Oliveira had him in all kinds of Charlie Olive's had him in all kinds of dangerous positions where he could have submitted them, but he didn't manage to pull it off because Chandler survived it. Paddy's different in the sense that instead of taking you to the ground and getting it to the ground and looking to set a trap for you, he kind of works in the spaces between it getting to the ground, between it getting to the ground. Paddy doesn't shoot takedowns. Paddy waits for you to shoot a takedown on him, turns that into a scramble, and in that scramble finds the submission. He doesn't give you a second to settle and start game planning. As soon as you go for the takedown, the chess match has begun, and I think that catches a lot of people by surprise with his style of jiu-jitsu. So yeah, we're going to go with Paddy. I'm liking the Paddy submission. I'm thinking round 3, maybe even round 2, but I'm thinking round 3 submission for Paddy. And it's kind of going to be sad for Chandler fans and for Chandler because he's kind of built a career in the UFC as the greatest showman. You know, he puts on a show. Maybe he doesn't win all of his fights. In fact, he doesn't win the majority of his fights, but he puts on a good show, so people say. I don't think he gets to put on a good show against Paddy. I think he kind of gets stifled by Paddy at every turn, and then gets forced into shooting a takedown, shoots the takedown, like trying to mix things up, and maybe he's not even committing to it, but in making contact with Paddy and going for that takedown, he kind of seals his fate and gets caught in something. So yeah, I'm going to go with Paddy Pimblett by submission. I'm thinking round 3. Paddy Pimblett round 3 submission. On to the next one, and the final one, the main event, because that was the co-main. I don't know if I said, I probably didn't. Alexander Volkanovski versus Diego Lopes. I'm going with Diego Lopes. I'm a fan of Volkanovski, but he's 36 now, and statistically, dudes don't do well at featherweight beyond 35. Diego Lopes, fresh face, up and comer, bit of a Brazilian emo look going on, but a tough dude, heavy hands, has the potential to knock out Volkanovski again. Maybe not knock him out, but definitely hurt him and get some TKO ground and pound in there. I think that's how it's going to go. I think he's going to hurt Volk. I think it's going to be earlier in the fight as well. I think he's going to follow him down. He's going to land some good shots to ground and pound. I think the ref's going to stop it. Some's going to say it's a robbery. Some are going to say it's justified. I'm just going to be happy Volk isn't taking too much head trauma. I don't know, man. I just don't see it. I can't see Volkanovski coming back after the loss, after all those losses, after all that head trauma now. After all that cumulative damage in such a short space of time as well. It just can't be good for you. So we're going to go by Diego Lopes. I'm thinking by knockout. Diego Lopes by knockout. Yeah, sad to say it. Volk's just too old. He's getting too old. He was great. I hope he does it, man. I hope he does it. I really do. I'm picking Diego Lopes, okay? For the records, for the gambling addicts out there, I'm picking Diego Lopes. I'm picking Diego Lopes by knockout. But my God, do I want Volkanovski to win this. I want Volkanovski to win, cement his legacy, and then just retire on this win. Retire on it. Get the belt one more time, and then vacate it and retire and let Diego Lopes fight someone else for it, you know? That would be the best outcome. But yeah, I don't want to see Volk get any more and take any more trauma to the head. So Diego Lopes probably by knockout, but I'm hoping for the Volk win. I'm hoping for the Volk turnaround. But that is that. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, keep your chin down and keep swinging. Peace and love. I'll see you around.